What's up, everybody? Good evening. It's Sunday evening, and we are on day 180. Bible recap. My name's Chris. My wife Stacey is trying to get on an airplane in Arizona. They've been delayed for about 4 hours, I think. So she is not on. She is stuck in Phoenix, trying to get home. Her and Kim both, and Michelle. Actually, all three of them. Anyway, hope you guys have had a great day. We are again day 180. We're in 1 Kings 22, 2 Chronicles 18. Before I get started, I'm gonna play a little worship. I'm gonna play this new group my brother-in-law Brian told me about, and man, I'm obsessed with these guys. They're called Rare of Breed. Check it out.
God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road. Be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road. Be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. I travel the road with some people don't make it out, but we emerge. Everyday battle, I'm fighting my demons. Live on the promises found in the word. Get rid of doubt, that can be cancer. If you let it seep into your mind, no matter the problem, I carry the answer. It's a fact, he's always on time. I never had a halo, but I got love for the people. Driving around, looked up, saw steeple. Walked inside, right down to the altar. Raised my hands, oh God, I need this. Handed me the word, young man, you read this. What about sin, my son? I bleed this. Grab that mic right there, get busy. Give them truth, that's all they'll see it. Back in the building, we bring in the virus. And everyday walk, we will never retire. Don't have to be Sunday for you to get blessed. Turn on the record, you'll think it's a choir. No Kanye, but I've been through the wire. We've all had a struggle, we gotta get through. You ain't gotta be like everybody, believe it and see. You just gotta be you, the truth. God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road, be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road, be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. Now I know heaven and hell, and I can tell the devil be on my block. Showing me things, pulling my strings, keeping me clutching the Glock. The path is wide, the game is whack. Evil's a never return. If you lose your way, you won't pay, and the cost will always burn. Don't trip up and get flipped up. Out here playing the clowns. That ain't your fam to bite your hand, putting the food in their mouth. It's a solo show, you need to know. Life is not a race. It's a journey for us to love and trust and chase the wolves away. So come on. God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road. Be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. God knows you don't have to be like everybody. It's a broad road. Be careful who you're following. I'm so in love with what you've done in my life. There's no way I think I ever could go back again. Delivered.
All right. I don't know if you listened to that or not, but I love the band. Again, they're called Rare of Breed. They're a Christian group. A little bit of funk and rap and hillbilly. All kinds of stuff in it. It's pretty awesome. All right. Tell me who's here. Let me see. Anybody? Mary, what's up, Mary? Did you listen to that music? Did you like it? I don't know how much you got to hear. Right. 1 Kings 22. Oh, dang it. I switched the internet. I moved it. Make sure this TV's off. Hold on. Make sure everything else is powered off so we don't have anything else using internet. And hopefully that'll help. I move things around. Things have been better, but I just let me know, Mary, if that's better, worse, kind of what it is. Hopefully it's better. All right. Start reading here. All right. First Kings 22. Ahab and the false prophets. It's a little better. Okay. I got off. There was something else. Two things wrong with Wi-Fi, and I got them off. So it's only my iPad now. Should be. So hopefully that makes a difference. All right, let's get back into this hot mess of a kingdom here. For 3 years, Syria and Israel continued without war. But in the third year of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, came down to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said to his servants, "Do you know that Ramoth Gilead belongs to us? And we keep quiet and do not take it out. And we keep quiet and do not take it out of the hand of the king of Syria." And he said to Jehoshaphat, "Will you go with me to battle at Ramoth Gilead?" And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, "I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses." Just a second. Boys, you have to be quiet, please. And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, "Inquire first for the word of the Lord." Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said to them, "Shall I go to battle against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain?" So he gathered prophets. Didn't say he went to the Lord, but I know the Lord used prophets then. And they said, "Go up, for the Lord will give it." Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Boys, please shut your door and be quiet. Sorry. Go up, for the Lord will give it to you in your hand of the king. But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here another prophet of the Lord whom we may inquire?" And the king of Israel said, "Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, but I hate him." Okay. "For he never prophesies good concerning me, but evil." And Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the king say so." Then the king of Israel summoned an officer and said, "Bring quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah." Now the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, were sitting on the thrones, arrayed in the robes, at the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets were prophesying before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Shanaanah, made for himself horns of iron and said, "Thus says the Lord, with these you shall push the Syrians until they are destroyed." And all the prophets prophesied so and said, "Go up to Ramoth Gilead and triumph. The Lord will give it into the hand of the king." Micaiah prophesies against Ahab. And the messenger who went to summon Micaiah said to him, "Behold, the words of the prophets will, with one accord, are favorable to the king. Let your word be like the word of one of them, and speak favorably." But Micaiah said, "As the Lord lives, what the Lord says to me, that I will speak." And when he had come to the king said to him, "Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we refrain?" And he answered him, "Go up and triumph. The Lord will give it into the hand of the king." But the king said to him, "How many times shall I make you swear that you speak me nothing but the truth in the name of the Lord?" And he said, "I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd." And the Lord said, "These have no master. Let each return to his home in peace." And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil?" And Micaiah said, "Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing beside him on the right hand and on the left. And the Lord said, Who will entice Ahab, and he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead?" And one said one thing, and another said another. Then the Spirit came forward and stood before the Lord, saying, "I will entice him." And the Lord said to him, "By what means?" And he said, "I will go out and will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets." And he said, You are to entice him, and you shall succeed. Go out and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these your prophets. The Lord has declared disaster for you. Then Zedekiah, the son of Shanaani, came near, struck Micaiah on the cheek, and said, "How did the Spirit of the Lord go from me to speak to you?" Micaiah said, "Behold, you shall see on the day when you go into an inner chamber and to hide yourself." And the king of Israel said, "Seize Micaiah and take him back to Ammon, the governor of the city, and Joash, the king's son, and say, Thus says the king, put this fellow in prison and feed him meager rations of bread and water until I come in peace." Micaiah said, "If you return in peace, the Lord has not spoken by me." And he said, "Hear all you peoples." So he's pretty confident in what he has to say. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead, and the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "I will disguise myself and go into battle, but you wear your robes." And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. Now the king of Syria had commanded the 32 captains of his chariots, "Fight with neither small nor great, but only with the king of Israel." And when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, they said, "It is surely the king of Israel." So they turned to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out. And when the captains of the chariots saw that it was not the king of Israel, they turned back from pursuing him. But a certain man drew his bow at random and struck the king of Israel between the scale armor and the breastplate. Therefore he said to the driver of the chariot, "Turn around and carry me out of the battle, for I am wounded." And the battle continued that day, and the king was propped up in his chariots facing the Syrians, until at evening he died. And the blood of the wound flowed into the bottom of the chariot. And about sunset a cry went through the army, every man to his city, and every man to his country. So the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. And they washed the chariot by the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, and the prostitutes washed themselves in it. Okay. According to the word of the Lord that he had spoken. Now the rest of the acts of Ahab and all that he did, and the ivory house that he built, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Ahab slept with his fathers. Ahaziah, his son, reigned in his place. That was crazy. Jehoshaphat reigns in Judah. Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. Mary, I just want to check in. Are we still okay? Check. His mother's name was Azubah. That's for sure. He definitely did not tell them what they wanted to hear. He was the only one that was willing to stand up and do that, which is why the king didn't want him to come, because he knew he would tell the truth, and the other ones just would always say whatever would make him happy. He had a bunch of yes men, except for that guy. Okay. I'll try to see if this will help. I don't know if that helped, but at least you can hear me. I ain't that pretty, so it's okay. All right. So his mother's name was Zuba, the daughter of Sheila. He walked in all the way of Asa his father. He did not turn aside from it, doing what was right in the sight of the Lord. Yet the high places were not taken away, and the people still sacrificed and made offerings on the high places. Jehoshaphat also made peace with the king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and his might that he showed, and how he warred. Why can't I say that word right now? And how he warred? I don't know. Are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And from the land he exterminated the remnant of the male cult prostitutes who remained in the days of his father Asa. So it's interesting because when they were talking about the blood thing, like that's definitely like a cultic ritual. That when they would sacrifice, when they still do sacrifice people, they would take the blood and put it on them. So it's interesting they did that back then. It just tells you how long that kind of stuff's been going on. There was no king in Edom. A deputy was king. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they did not go, for the ships were wrecked at Gebir. Then Asa, the son of Ahab, said to Jehoshaphat, "Let my servants go with your servants in the ships." Jehoshaphat was not willing, and Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father, and Jehoram, his son, reigned. Jehoram, son, reigned in his place. Uzziah, reigns in Israel. Uzziah, I'm going to say that. The son of Ahab began to reign over Israel and Samaria in the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. And he reigned 2 years over Israel. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in the way of his mother, and in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. He served Baal and worshipped him, and provoked the Lord, the God of Israel, to anger in every way that his father had done. Just followed right in his footsteps. That was a crazy chapter. Of course, a lot of these have been kind of crazy lately. Just the amount of deliberate, evil that took place. Just no care. I mean, just obviously a lot of pride, greed, arrogance that was going on in that time. It was crazy how much was taking place. And just the outright doing evil and seeing, even though they had to have seen the generations before and the things that had happened to them and how God did some of the things he did and took people out and caused destruction, and yet they still would continue to do it. That's what's crazy to me. But all right, 2 Chronicles 18. Jehoshaphat allies with Ahab. We're going to do a recap, then we're going to do another recap. All right. Now Jehoshaphat had great riches and honor, and he made a marriage alliance with Ahab. That's an interesting way to put it. After some years, he went down to Ahab in Samaria, and Ahab killed an abundance of sheep and oxen for him and for the people who were with him, and induced him to go up against Ramoth Gilead. Ahab, king of Israel, said to Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, "Will you go with me to Ramoth Gilead?" He answered him, "I am as you are, my peoples as your people. We will be with you in the war." Man, I'm tripping over that. He made a marriage alliance. Like not a military alliance or some kind of an army alliance, but like a marriage alliance. It's interesting. All right, sorry. Verse 4. And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, "Inquire first for the word of the Lord." And the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, 400 men, 400, and said to them, "Shall we go to battle against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain?" And they said, "Go up, for God will give it into the hand of the king." But Jehoshaphat said, "Is there not here another prophet of the Lord whom we may acquire?" The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "There is one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, Micaiah, the son of Imlah. But I hate him." That might be the first time I've seen the word hate in Scripture. I mean, they became really close for sure, and it was like they had an alliance to have each other's back and protect each other, and but the marriage thing is just like a whole nother level to me, or maybe I'm just reading more into it than what it is. So, but he says, "I hate him, for he never prophesies good concerning me, but always evil." And Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the king say so." Then the king of Israel summoned an officer and said, "Bring quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah." Now the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, were sitting on the thrones, arrayed in their robes, and they were sitting at the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets were prophesying before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Shenaneh, I don't know how to really say that, made for himself horns of iron and said, "Thus saith the Lord, with these you shall push the Syrians until they are destroyed." And all the prophets prophesied so, and said, Go up to Ramoth Gilead and triumph. The Lord will give it into the hand of the king." And the messengers who went to summon Micaiah said to him, "Behold, the words of the prophets with one accord are favorable to the king." Let your word be like the word of them, and speak favorably. Let me tell you what to say. Let me tell you what God's going to tell you. Let me make sure that you're not going to go against the king. Like they're trying to persuade him to speak favorably and not against the king, because all 400 of them are all on the same page. And then the famous word, but. Verse 13, Micaiah said, as the Lord lives, what my God says, that I will speak. Woo! Let that just sit with you for a little bit. As the Lord lives, what my God says, that I will speak. He ain't playing. Man, that's good stuff. And when he had come to the king said to him, Micaiah, you know he's got to be like, all right, boy. Shall we go to the Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I refrain? And he answered, go up and triumph. They will be given into your hand. But the king said to him, how many times shall I make you swear that you speak to me nothing but the truth in the name of the Lord? And he said, I saw all Israel, of course, because he did what they told him to do at first. Go ahead and go do your thing. But he knew he wasn't telling the truth. He knew he was not being honest with him. So he's like, no, you're going to tell me the truth. And he said, I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let each return to his home in peace. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? Because you evil, that's why. And Micaiah said, therefore, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, who will entice Ahab, the king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said one thing, and another said another. And a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord, saying, I will entice him. And the Lord said to him, by what means? And he said, I will go out and will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. All of them. All 400. And he said, you are to entice him, and you shall succeed. Go out and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of these your prophets. The Lord has declared disaster concerning you. And Zedekiah, the son of Shanaanah, came near and struck Micaiah on the cheek, jacked it, brother, pow, and said, which way did the Spirit of the Lord go from me to speak to you? And Micah said, behold, you shall see on the day when you go into the inner chamber to hide yourself. And the king of Israel said, seize Micaiah and take him back to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus says the king, put this fellow in prison and feed him with meager rations of bread and water until I return in peace. And Micaiah said, if you return in peace, the Lord has not spoken to me. And he said, hear all you peoples. But if you don't come back, because you're about to die, I just told you so. Or hear all you peoples. The death and the defeat and the death of Ahab. Verse 28. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead, and the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself. So now he's scared, right? But you wear your robes, and the king of Israel disguised himself. And they went into battle. Now the king of Syria had commanded the captains of his chariots, fight with neither small nor great, but only with the king of Israel. As soon as the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, they said, it is the king of Israel. So they turned to fight against him. Jehoshaphat cried out, and the Lord helped him. God drew them away from him. For as soon as the captains of the chariots saw that it was not the king of Israel, they turned back from pursuing him. But a certain man drew his bow at random and struck the king of Israel between the scale, armor, and the breastplate. Therefore he said to the driver of his chariot, "Turn around and carry me out of the battle, for I am wounded." And the battle continued that day, and the king of Israel propped up in the chariot facing the Syrians until evening. Then at sunset he died. So hear all you peoples, he ain't coming back. I'm just saying. All right. How many times, like, in life, like, you're, like, trying to get confirmation about something, and you got all these people, or, I think this is what happens sometimes. We talked about this before, but we tend to go to people who we think are going to agree with what we say, right? Whether it's a word of the Lord, or it's something to do with our marriage, or if it's a coworker, friend that you're upset with. We tend to try to get people to rally around us that are going to agree with us and say what we want them to say. Yes. Yes, Mary. Yeah, they turned on him. They turned on him. So, anyway, I just think that's interesting that we tend to do that, and which is what he did. He was just trying to, but it's just crazy. You had 400 guys, all liars, spirit of you know, the lying spirit over those prophets. And yet you had one guy willing to tell the truth and do the right thing, and he got put in prison for it because he was telling the truth, because it's not what the king wanted to hear. I mean, how many times have we been told things that we didn't want to hear? And then we go do what we want to do. We just ignore whatever. Definitely we do that. I've done it, for sure. But yeah, no, they turned on him. I mean, it's clear that, I mean, just the way a lot of these kings, kings ran the kingdom, especially guys like Ahab, they were very evil, and just didn't care about the people. It was all about them, you know. Which I would, you know. Right, but they were all under Israel versus Judah, all under, like, they were supposed to be allies, and that's why I'm saying they turned on them, right? Am I wrong on that? Boys, I need y'all to go lay down. Did you brush your teeth? Thank you. Y'all go lay down.
All these came down. I'm hungry.
You just said go to bed.
I'm hungry.
Mary, am I missing that? Like they turned on them?
What did he say?
Because they were supposed to be allies with each other. Yeah, okay. And it's interesting that, I mean, Jehoshaphat, obviously, he had his own stuff. I mean, I felt like he definitely did some things that were right in the sight of the Lord, but he also did some things that were not. But God gave him favor. Because when they saw who it was, they left him alone, and he was able to go away. And then they killed Ahab. So I think it kind of goes back to the so what that makes me think about, like, kind of like with David and his stuff, or a lot of the people God had, like, if their heart, he knew the heart, right? Jehoshaphat wasn't perfect by any means. There was something that God had given him favor over. I mean, he obviously ended up dying, but God had given him some favor. But Ahab clearly was just evil. Like, I mean, he said he did, evil, and his son did turn out and did the same thing. So the generational stuff that's passed down, it's crazy. All right, let's do the recap. We spent time in both North Israel and southern Judah today, starting out in the north with the wicked king Ahab. The kings of these two kingdoms make an alliance. They want to recapture Ramoth Gilead, a city that was taken from Judah by Syria. Like I was talking about the other day, I'm not so sure that those two countries aren't still fighting today. Before they put a strategy together, Jehoshaphat asked if they can seek God's counsel. Smart move. Ahab brings in 400 prophets. 400. Holy crap, bro. And they all say God will grant Israel success. But Jehoshaphat wants a second opinion, which is pretty discerning. Just a second. I'm sorry. Boys, I'm not understanding what you guys don't understand about giving bed.
Isaiah has two, and I'm hungry, so I want one. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry. Put it up.
They almost... Oh, wait. Sorry, back up. Who are all in agreement. So why does he need another opinion? One thing in the original text hints at is that these prophets didn't inquire Yahweh. They're almost certainly the same 400 prophets of Asherah mentioned in 1 Kings 18:19. Remember how Ahab had 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah when he met Elijah for the showdown on the Mount Carmel. Only the 450 prophets of Baal showed up, and Elijah killed them. But we never heard anything from the 400 prophets of Asherah. These are almost certainly those prophets. Wicked King Ahab of Israel doesn't seem to fully grasp the concept of following Yahweh. No kidding. Even though he repented under the consequences of death and was wise King Jehoshaphat of Judah seems to be discerning about that, so he wants a godly opinion. But why are you making an alliance with such an evil person? That's my question. Like, I know there's probably strategy with military and different things back then, but Ahab says that they could ask Micaiah the prophet, but Ahab doesn't like him because he never says what Ahab wants to hear. Some commentators believe it was Micaiah who intentionally got himself beat up before he talked to Ahab. Micaiah tells Ahab, "Go up and triumph, and the Lord will give it into the hand of the king." Ahab doesn't believe him because this sounds too good to be true, especially coming from Micaiah. So he basically says, "Are you joking?" And that's when things get confusing. Micaiah had been mocking the king of his prophets, but this time he shoots straight. Evil spirits ask Yahweh for permission to be misled. Ahab misled Ahab by speaking lies through the 400 prophets. Evil spirits are subject to God's authority. They're on a leash and can only do what God allows and what ultimately fits into his sovereign plan. And God's plan, as he already said, is to remove King Ahab and his family. The means by which God planned to do this is through this war. And the false prophets prophesied falsely. Israel will meet with disaster, and Ahab will die in the battle. And Ahab doesn't like this at all, of course. So he has Micaiah imprisoned. When Ahab and Jehoshaphat partner up for war, Ahab tries to be tricky. He plans to wear a disguise, but tells Jehoshaphat to wear his royal robes, which will make him stand out as a target. Jehoshaphat agrees to this plan. Ahab's plan to disguise himself seems to work at first, but the Syrian archers go after Jehoshaphat in his royal robes. But they withdraw when they see it's not Ahab. Then one of the archers randomly fires off the arrows that strikes and kills Ahab, and the events surrounding his death unfold in the ways Micaiah prophesied today and Elijah prophesied yesterday. His son Ahaziah takes the throne after him. He's Ahab all over again, Baal worshiping and wicked in all ways his dad was. Man. All right. And what's so crazy about that, like, the fact that Jehoshaphat agreed to wear the robe, I'm like, bro, you brought this on yourself. You wear the robe yourself, but I ain't your boy. But that's just me. But clearly God took care of him, protected him. But I'd have been like, yeah, I don't think so. A certain man, it says God shot. A certain man drew his bow at random, and struck the king of Israel between the scale armor and the breastplate. 2 Chronicles 18:33. God has laser focus on accomplishing his plan. Nothing thwarts him. Not Ahab's disguise, not the Syrians' mistake, Jehoshaphat for Ahab, and not even the call to stop firing. Because the one man who fails to stop firing hits the very man God appointed to die in the very spot that would kill him. The man may have drawn his bow at random, which can also be translated in his innocence or even on accident. But that just goes to show that nothing is random where God is concerned. He's so intentional. He hears the cries of the righteous. He wipes out the wicked, and he can't be stopped. What a great comfort. Because he's where the joy is. Yeah, I'm like, the whole thing of he just happened to hit him. Some guy randomly pulls back a bow. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how random that really was, but God, it's in those moments that you can't explain, we can't explain, when God does his thing, that you're just like, man. He shows up, heals, somebody gets healed, a bill gets paid, we get a promotion, whatever that looks like. Like, just God showing up, doing his thing when it doesn't make sense. But it all goes back to, do you have a heart to trust him? And Ahab, all his wickedness, and all the plans he tried to make, and tried to even put Jehoshaphat as the one that was to get killed, because he definitely knew that Micaiah was telling the truth, so he was trying to avoid that from happening, which clearly God took care of. Just when God's in it, and God's plan is in process, like, you can't stop it. Like, literally, you can't stop it. Like, when God's doing what he's doing, when he's has his plan in motion, people can try to come against it, and people can say things or try to do things, but you can't stop God when he's doing his thing, his plans in motion. And you're trusting him. When you're being faithful and you're trusting him, you're not stopping his plan. Even in this whole mess of Jehoshaphat willing to partner with him and willing to wear the robe, willing to be, and yet God's like, yeah, good try. So I'm bigger than all that. Bigger than your plans, bigger than your little trickery, bigger than your whatever you're trying to pull off. I've got it. So it's just, for me, that's what stands out, knowing that, God, when we trust him, we're willing to walk with him, and things may or may not make sense. Like with God's plans in motion and you're being faithful to that plan, you can't be stopped. God can't be stopped. I say we can't. God can't be stopped. And he does things in us, around us, through us, whatever, for us. So that's a good word to know, no matter what you're going through, you trust God, and you're doing what God says and God's plan. Like, I don't care what somebody tries to come at you with. They can't stop you. Right. What you got to say to all that, Mary? Right? Why are you wearing the robe, bro? Jackie, what's up? Jackie's on the wrong timeline, but we're glad you're here, Jackie. Or maybe you're just late, and it's all good, because you can always go back and watch it. It's just me, so Stacey is caught. She might actually be on the plane now, maybe. The whole the hot mess thing you're saying, Mary, is about been the last several days. You're just like, goodness, like all the stuff. Of course, I don't want to, we could spend the next 5 days doing this, but I mean, I feel like our country's kind of in that place, like, whether I'm not trying to go into politics, but well, it was kind of a rough one yesterday, actually, Jackie. So, Stacey was somewhere and it was back and forth. The in and out, the internet. I think we got it working better today. She was in a different location. We were trying to team do it. The struggle was real. But yeah, I feel like today, where we're at, how the country's going, it's not about, to me, whether you vote right or you vote left or whatever. It's just who do you ultimately trust? Who do you put your faith in, and who do you trust? Because you can trust the far right if that's what you want. You can trust the far left, or you can trust the whoever. If you truly trust the Lord, then what? It's just all what does that mean? You trust, you trust man, or you trust God? And I've gotten, I'll just tell you, and this may upset people, I don't care. I haven't voted for the last several terms on president stuff, and a lot of the stuff. I haven't been big into politics, and I know we have the freedom to do that, and it's all right and all that. And I know. My dad was in the military. Okay? My dad fought in the Korean War. So I know all the stuff. I just have got to the point, spiritually, I don't trust nobody. And that I don't believe any of them. I think they're all lying. And I think they're all in it for themselves. I think they're all... And I don't even think the people that we see a lot of times as the president is really who's running anything anyway. And it's all my own stuff, right? My own theories. So I just am like, Lord, I trust you. I put my faith in you. And what you're going to do is what you're going to do. And I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to walk with you. And how this scripture, from what I read, plays out, that's about the best thing I can do. is just trusting you and walk with you and know that ultimately you're in control. And at the end of the day, when the time comes, you're going to take me, you're going to take me. And I'm going to do the best I can to love you and to love others and to serve people well and do the best I can to share Jesus with people. And if I can do that, I'm good. And so some people, they don't like it when I say that, and I've had conversations with people, and they get a little frustrated with me. Well, you should be voting. You're right. Just like you have the right to vote, and I have the right to not vote. I mean, same thing. So I ain't mad at you if you do, and I don't care which side you vote for. It don't matter to me. Do you love Jesus or do you not? Do you trust him or not? That's kind of where I'm at. Anyway, I just think, for us with what we read today, it's just like, who do you really trust? You got 400 prophets that are all lying just to make one king feel good about himself and whatever, but you got one person, Micaiah, who was willing to stand up and tell the truth, and not go with what everybody else said. And sometimes that's what we have to do. And it costs us a little bit, but if you trust God, he's got you. That's just me. All right, I'll shut up. Get off my box. Yes, it has been a mess for a long time. Trying to look back and hear what you said. I'm making food. Well, I had food over here for you, but clearly you decided not to come eat that. So, man, we got a little bit of rain here last night, and it was amazing because it was so dry here and so dusty. And I've been having to do a lot of stuff outside in my sinuses and my throat. It's been horrible. Horrible. Yes, Jackie. I mean, to me, that's all you can do is just pray. Pray for leaders, pray for whoever God puts in control, and just pray that just trust God. That's all you can do. Because just like all the stuff we're reading in the Old Testament, there are times when God allows people to be in charge that are evil. And it doesn't make sense. And you would think he would stop it, but he doesn't. Because he has a plan that doesn't always make sense to us. He has a bigger picture of everything. And so he allows people that are evil to be in charge of things sometimes. There are some great politicians out there. I think whether you like him or not, I know him, and I know he's a strong believer. James Langford, whether you agree with his politics or not, I just know as a person, I know him. I know how much he loves the Lord. I know how he really seeks after the Lord. So, I look at a guy like that, and I just like, man, I pray for God to use him to make a difference for the kingdom in amongst all that world, because that world's a whole different world than what I could even imagine, I'm sure. And so that's what I pray for. I pray for things like that. The people that are in those positions that are believers, that they will have the strength and God will use them to make a difference for the kingdom among all that world. And that's kind of how I pray for people like that. Because like I said, God allows people that are evil to be in charge of things because his plan is way bigger than ours. And he sees things that we have no idea about. Because there's sometimes some things that take place and you're just like, why would God let that? God's plan is way bigger than what we know. Because I can promise you that whoever's the president, God knows, right? God knows. Whether we agree with it or not, whether we like it or not, if he wasn't supposed to be there or she wasn't supposed to be there, whatever happens, God can take him out anytime he wants. And we see that all through Scripture, all the time. So it's just like, I just trust him. It may not make sense, but I trust him. I didn't mean to get off on all that. Sorry. But, all right. Any God shots? Any highs for today? Took the kiddos, and then my brother-in-law, we took all of our kiddos to church this morning. It was good. And it's kind of chilled today. Didn't do a whole lot around here. A little bit. Cleaned a little bit. And cooked for the kids and bought slime. We bought slime and kids made slime. So yeah. My wife was supposed to be home, I think like a couple hours ago. I think she's finally getting on a flight there in Phoenix, so she will be home late tonight. Anything else? Anybody else got quiet? Hey, Cowboys won preseason. There is a God. I am a Cowboy fan, but my faith in the Cowboy Nation not real high right now. But we'll see. New season. Nothing. Guys done for the evening. Are we calling it done? Anyone? Bueller? No? If not, we will be done for tonight, and we will have tomorrow to be day 181, and we will be in 2nd Chronicles tomorrow. So, I think, does that put us down with Kings? I think it does. Pretty sure it does. Yeah, it does. So we're done with 1 Kings. Moving right along. Good stuff. All right, guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate your time and your input and feedback, all the stuff. And I will say what Jackie said. So pray for our leaders. Pray for our nation. And ultimately, we got to trust God. That's what I got to say. Because God is in control. Yes, sir. All right. 1, 2, 3. He is where the joy is. Love you guys. Have a good night's rest. Peace out. I will see y'all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.